This. Welcome tonight to Family Soul Evening. It's my privilege to get to introduce to you two of the most influential people in my life. And I've been alive for a long time now. I've been alive for 46 years. And of all of the people I've interacted with, which includes many presenters on stage, many coaches, many authors, many therapists that I've worked with as colleagues, as well as been the client to, I have studied and followed and sought after great teachers my whole life since I was young. Now, Cammie Mitchell, she's the one in the yellow, and Shelby is in black. Cammie was the older sister of my best friend in high school. So I've known Cammie ever since high school. And then just in 2015, really, we reconnected so deeply as she and Shelby had met and were hosting women's retreats. And I was raising 5 sons plus 1 foster son at the time, 6 boys. And my husband at the time was working in another state. So I essentially was operating as this single mom with 6 boys. My weight wasn't good. My depression was there. My exhaustion was heavy. And I ran into Cammie somewhere in town, and she looked at me, she just looked me in the eyes and said, "You need to come to a retreat." I had never heard about this. This wasn't a thing in my life. My mom didn't do anything with friends when I was growing up. She did the mom stuff. She cleaned the house, she cooked, she did her church callings. So I was like, I didn't even understand what this was. Why would you go on a retreat? Then they tell me how much it is. You pay that much money. What kind of a stay-at-home mom just has this discretionary money? So I throw that out. I don't have the money for that. And they just smile. Oh, sweet one, way to try to get out of this. And then I came up with all these excuses. Who's going to watch the 6 boys? You don't just ask someone, "Hey, can you babysit my 6 boys for 4 days?" Like, no one signs up for that. You'd have to be crazy to sign up for that. And every obstacle or resistance that I put up, they found a way to just set it aside. Even the financial thing. What can you do, Angel? What could you pay to get there? We really want you to come. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into. So I went to this retreat, and the whole time I sat judging these two. I had so much judgment. They're so goofy. They giggle all the time. When will they ever be serious? What are their credentials? Do they have a degree in this? Are they authorized to teach stuff like this? Wait a minute. Cammie graduated in math from the university. I haven't heard her talk at all about math. She's trying to help me love myself. I don't know if she can teach me these things. So judgmental. And at one point in our relations, it wasn't that weekend, but as I continued to be drawn to them, I kept going to their classes and retreats, even though I was very judgmental. In one moment, I was by myself thinking about them, and it was almost like a cartoon where there's a devil and an angel on your shoulder. Would have these thoughts like, they are just so ridiculous and out there, and they do things I would never do, and they say things I would never say. And then there's this angel that would say, "But you feel so loved when you're around them, and you feel like a better version of you." And I'm like, "Shut up. They're crazy. They're goofy. This can't be real." So I had this internal battle, and I remember just stopping and asking the divine, "What is true?" And the source of truth said to me, "You have jealous judgment, Angel." I'd never heard that term. Jealous judgment. I said, what is that? And it said, "You're so jealous of the love they admit, the freedom of their spirits. They're free to be themselves because they don't live under fear, guilt, shame, and judgment like you. You live in this box trying to be what everyone else wants or needs you to be. And they're free. They just walk into a room and they show up as themselves. And if it makes anyone feel awkward or uncomfortable, that's on those people." So I was jealous of that freedom to be boisterous and fun and open and playful, and then I didn't know what to do with that, because if they were good, then I was bad. If they were living the right way, then I was living the wrong way. So I was in black and white thinking, very much in my ego. So the judgment came through my ego of like, you have to find a way to make them bad. You have to find a way to judge them, criticize them, say that something's off with them, that their way of being's not right, so that you can feel good about yourself. And that was a huge mind opener and a heart opener. And after that time, I realized I'm just going to set my judgments of them and their way of being on the shelf and see what my heart says. And these two women taught me to love. First and foremost, they taught me that I was lovable. And I had been trying and trying for over 35 years to do my way and to do enough, to achieve enough, to feel like the world could look at me and say, Angel, you finally made it. You're finally worth something. Look at the great family you raised. Look at how much you do in the church and community. Look at your education and what you do in your profession. And that was a never ending stairway to heaven. But they taught me to look at myself in the mirror and look in my own eyes and connect to myself. So with all the gratitude and appreciation that I have in my whole being, I want to introduce to you the unicorns. They're magical, so I call them the unicorns. Shelby Smith on the left and Cammie Mitchell on the right. Take it away. Oh, you have to unmute because I muted you. Stop. Shelby's. Okay.
I was laughing because in my camera, I'm on the right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're always right. That's Shelby right there.
Oh, always right. Well, now that we've got that established, we're good.
Now we can go.
Now we can go. Everyone's dismissed.
Thanks for coming, everybody. We got the real lesson.
Oh, I love when Angel was talking, Kim was doing this.
Thank you, Kim.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, jealous judgment. Oh boy. When she brought that term to us, we're like, oh my gosh, you nailed it. Angel, that's the perfect description of what happens when we want something so bad out here, but we don't have it and we're not creating it. And so we judge people who have it or are it to make us feel better. We're going to talk about how that comes into this space. Wanted to appreciate every one of you for showing up, for being a part of Yin on Fire. Like, huge gratitude to Angel and the whole entire team that pulled Yin on Fire out. Like, that was, it was amazing. And so much for that whole team and everyone that came together. So thank you for being a part of this continued education, just feeling each one of you and your gorgeous selves through the computer.
That day that Yin was birthed, just in an idea, the world started changing. And you could feel that ripple effect from that moment. And then when it actually happened, it was just like a big bang that actually could be felt all over this planet. I don't know if you guys felt it. And now we're just continuing, and it's still rippling, and it's still rippling. And you being who you are is that ripple, and it's gonna keep going for years to come. And I just sit in awe, complete awe of what is happening right now, and feel quite honored to be here and seeing all your faces. And even if they're pictures, I'm appreciating your faces. And if your faces want to be real life, we welcome that too.
Real life
faces. Also, check in real quick. This is just a brief check-in to self. Notice the condition of your buttholes right now. I know. Sorry, kids. I almost said the other word. This is real. Because that's going to tell you where you're at in this. I am serious.
Yeah.
Don't let the chat distract you. Just look at the camera and keep talking. Okay. But I'm gonna be the sideline narrator over here. Okay.
Okay. You're taking care of the chat, hun. I'm gonna put it off because I'm like my camera.
Yeah. Don't look at it. If anyone has a question, I'll make sure you get it.
Thank you, hun.
So notice where your butthole is right now. I mean, not where it is, but the condition of your butthole. And I'm going to ask you to breathe into it right now. Relax that space. Because you may notice it might be a little clenched. And you can raise your hand if you want. Was it clenched?
Not admitting this for everyone to see.
The invitation is that's a place that will tell you your state quite often. We can check in with our hearts. We can check in with our solar plexus also. but the asshole is a great place to check into. It gets forgotten.
Mm.
So this time we get to give focus and love to that part of you, and it's giving you a message. Invite that space to just relax. And whatever comes through it, comes through it. It's meant to. It's just energy moving, right, Angel?
Oh my gosh, a huge part of what we're going to share tonight is about relaxation. So fascinating that we're going to start on that end where you might not have thought of even thought of that. Like when you think of relaxing, you think of the breath, you think of your heartbeat, you think of shoulders coming down, you think of like up here is often where we think relax at. So it's very interesting. Thank you, Shelby, for pulling it all in. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Or letting it all go, whatever
Yeah.
way it is.
All of the above.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's interesting that Angel introduced the jealous judgment, because that's what we're going to kind of go into, is what's underneath jealousy and judgment is fear. The fear that she has something that I don't. The fear that it's not possible for me to do that, to create that. We're going to get to know our fears a little bit deeper, at a deeper level tonight, and it'll be fun to see how we do this. We've never done this with the Zoom room, so we'll just be playing. And to introduce kind of what that looks like and where we're going, I'm going to tell you of a real story that happened just a couple days ago. Shelby's little 9-year-old daughter got a new set of headphones. And because she'd already
It's like the fourth pair of
she'd
headphones.
wrecked her
Yeah.
previous headphones. So she doesn't take care of them for very long. They get thrashed on. So she's got her new pair of headphones and she's so excited, and she's in the front room at 7 in the morning and she's just rocking out. And she flips her head back like this and her brand new headphones fall off her face, hit the ground, and break into several pieces. In that moment, this 9-year-old little girl becomes afraid. Afraid that I just had mom buy me this new pair of headphones, and now I broke them again, and I'm going to be in trouble. And
I won't have any
I
anymore.
won't have headphones, and I need headphones because I like electronics. Like all these different pieces started showing up. In that scenario, when we get afraid, when we go into that scared space, the number one thing we do as human beings is we reach out here and try to resolve it out here. So Emery, the 9-year-old little girl, she's frightened. This is happening. And the first thing that she responds and reacts to is she runs to mom's room at 7 in the morning and starts banging on the door.
We're still asleep.
Mom! Help! We thought something had died. Like, it was crazy. We're like, oh my gosh, what's happening? She's panicking. She's freaking out. She's banging on the door. Shelby gets up and she's like, what's up, honey? And she's like, and she can't even speak it. So Shelby goes out with her daughter, and her daughter points at the headphones like, look, I'm scared of what, and then looks at Shelby like, what's going to happen now?
Well, because she broke her headphones and she woke me up. And she knew the waking up piece was, oh, no.
Not a good idea.
That's probably scared her the most, knowing that, oh, she woke up mom.
But in our fear, we don't care about anything. We just are in this reactive energy. So Shelby notices, she's like, oh, okay, you dropped the headphones and they're in pieces. And Emery's like panicking here because she went to get mom to help and she's noticing that it didn't help. She's still afraid. And so she goes and starts stomping around in the kitchen and getting angry and saying things. And I didn't mean to do this. And defending herself. Now, Shelby hasn't even said anything. She's just observing her little girl. in a panic state. And Emery wanders around the kitchen and is yelling and defending herself and scared still. And Shelby's like, come here. And she put out her arms. And Emery looks at her and she's like, and she comes in and tries to go in for a hug, but she's angry now. And she's like, no, I broke this, but I didn't mean to. And this isn't my fault, Mom. And so Shelby just continues to observe her child. And she lets her child say what she needs to say. She doesn't interrupt her. She doesn't stop her, and she doesn't shame her. Okay, these are big points that we'll bring out. She just observes.
And I didn't get pulled. I chose not to get pulled into the drama that morning.
That perfect. Eventually, the anger and defensiveness, realizing that Mom's not yelling at me, I'm not in trouble, nothing's happening. I'm just, all of this expression came out, and it settled. And she noticed that like nothing was different, but Mom was still available. And so Shelby says again, come here, honey, let me hold you. So now once the anger had come down a little bit, Emery came and crawled into her mom's arms. And then the tears of sadness. I didn't mean to do this, Mom. I'm so sorry. I did this. Is what's happening. She just sobbed. And Shelby just held her little girl. Then once the sadness had broke, they both took a deep breath, and Shelby's like, hey, guess what? Do you want to try to fix them? Let's see if there's something we can do about it. And Emery's like, Mom, are you sure? Do you think we can? Are they going to be okay? And Shelby's like, let's give it a try. And she went and put it back into pieces and like all of it together. And Emery put it on her head, and she's like, oh, it's fine. And the complete turnaround shift, Emmy's like, thanks, Mom. Oh, Mom, I'm sorry I woke you up. And I'm sorry I got mad.
She went off and did her thing.
And then she skipped off. Okay. The natural response for us as human beings is number one, change, manipulate, control something out here. That's the number one place that we go when we are scared. And so start taking a look at what are different ways that I try to control things out here. Okay, this is what we're going to get into and try to see and observe in ourselves.
What happens is there's this explosion of emotion. And in one of the books we've read, I don't know if you've heard of Joshua Channelings, but it's in Joshua Channelings, and he talks about emotion actually is an explosion of misunderstanding. That's how he defined emotion. And it's a misunderstanding first of self. And when we misunderstand self, then we misunderstand the situation. We misunderstand the people around us. So in that explosion, what we're trying to do is change out here so that I can be okay in here. That explosion is uncomfortable. And so whatever I can do out here to fix it, change it, manipulate it, whatever it is, avoid it, I'll do so that whatever's going on in here can calm the heck down. And so that's what was happening for Emery. She was having that explosion right in front of us. And she was doing this to try to feel better. Even though I was available to hold her in that explosion, she couldn't even see that. She was just in the explosion, and it was intense. And she was thinking there were other ways that you had to fix it for me to be okay. And everything had to line up for me to be okay.
Well, and that's what, like, we misinterpret that if we change something out here,
that's a
all of a sudden I'm going to feel better. All of a sudden that scared thing that's happening in here is going to like go into peace, but it doesn't work.
I tried it for 49 years. It doesn't work.
No matter how much we try and manipulate and change and shift. And if you'll not do that, while I'm here, we work in an environment with the chronically ill, and oftentimes when they come into the situation, they're like, here's my list of things that I need you as providers to do to make sure I'm comfortable. Don't talk about this, don't laugh this way, make sure your volume's here. They try to control all these things outside of them because we think that it's going to bring us peace, but it doesn't work that way. Okay. So go ahead.
Oh, okay, so you're
Yeah.
going to level 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next level, when you noticed Emery trying to manipulate out here, as she's walking around the kitchen, now you can tell that something's going on in here. She's vocally expressing by going, "Ah," but there wasn't any really cohesive or coherent words that were coming out of her. She was just pacing, and you could almost see the loops that she was in by the way she was walking. She was literally walking in a loop because what was happening in her mind. So if we pull back and we don't do anything out here, we now try to control in here, and it's a unhealthy control. We're trying to figure out, okay, my ego saying, how do we keep you the same, how do we keep you alive, and let's manipulate it from here, and then we can execute a plan later. And you'll hear ways like, well, it was her fault, and if I have her change, or if I like making the plans that we would have normally done out here, we're doing it in here. And then we're beating ourselves up at the same time. Well, I should have done it this way. Well, if I had known better, I would have done it this way. I should have. All of those little stories that we get in loops with in here. That's the next level. After level 1 of manipulating outside, now we manipulate ourselves through ego. And our egos are the master manipulators. They know every way possible to get us to follow that chain of thought. And my ego, her name is Ethel, by the way. I don't know if you guys have ever been introduced to Ethel. She's here with us. She's doing this the whole time. And I hear her. I notice she's here, but I'm not going down her little rabbit hole. But Ethel is here. They will.
By the way, little side note, everybody gets to take a breath and be like, "Hey, what's your name?" Like, ask your ego what their name is. Mine is Fred. And then it has all sorts of meaning and different things that come through in that exercise. So that's a fun little way to start becoming a friend of the ego, in that you're familiar, you're here with me always. As long as I'm in this human body, I have Fred with me.
I'm not getting rid of her.
And we get to be in a playful space. Yeah, Ange.
Everybody put your ego's name in the chat. I love it. McKenna said to everyone, mine is Mia. No offense to any Mias.
Awesome.
Pop your name in the chat. Give your ego a name right now. It will be helpful to the exercises.
So good.
Ethel actually is my great grandmother's name, which she's probably
She's
on the
such
other
an asshole.
It came from the asshole that Ethel is.
And guess where we began today? At our assholes.
That's where we began, with the Ethel. That was not even on purpose.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah,
isn't that funny?
Ethel has an apple, a candy one. But the majority of my ego's voice, interestingly enough, is my mom. So coming from my mom's line is where I got Ethel's name. There, I can't see the chat, but I imagine.
Oh, you want to hear some of these? You guys want to hear some of these? So, the one that made me, open my eyes the most is our friend Doug here. His ego's name is Perky. That was not one that I would have ever expected. So we have Jen's is Karen, Joni is girlfriend.
Girlfriend.
Yeah, you guys know mine. Mine is ambitious. Oh yeah, she's here again. Michelle says Linda. I want to know David. David's back there pretending like he doesn't have an ego. David, put your ego's name in the chat.
We can't hear you, David.
Yeah, that's good. We got your ego on mute. So just
the discussion is going on. It hasn't presented a name yet.
Oh, perfect.
Okay.
I'm excited to hear when it does.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll keep watching. It's fun. So Now I get to remember where I was with Ethel.
Okay. While you're remembering,
Yeah,
Fred,
go.
like Fred, the Flintstones, my ego is as like committed to the Stone Age as possible. Never learn, never grow, never expand, like run around in this Stone Age and stay the same, stay the same, stay the same. And it's just really fun to start playing with all of the pieces that put your ego together.
Stone with PPP. I can't. I'm not watching that. It's
Okay.
coming up on the bottom now. I can see it.
Okay.
Okay, so Ethel has learned every side door, back door, basement entrance, attic entrance to get at me so that I listen and follow her trail of thought.
Mhm.
So the beautiful thing about, and we've heard Angel say this before too, I'm sure many of you guys have been following Angel. The beautiful thing about the ego is it can be used as a tool. It is not the enemy. When we make it the enemy, now we're at war with ourselves. So then we have the war against the ego, or the ego against the heart against the ego, and we are feeling at war. That's why we don't feel at peace. When we can make friends with our ego by even naming it, now we can use it as a tool to show us the direction not to go. So if my ego says, do not share this with Cammie, do not let her know, I'm going to go right to Cammie and go, guess what? I just need to tell you right now. And I will tell her. If my ego says, you are not going to do this presentation tonight, guess what? I'm going to do the presentation tonight. So Ethel is a beautiful tool when I have learned how to use her. When I let her in the side door, back door that she sneaks in sometimes, and sometimes it blindsides me. It's like a cosmic 2x4. I get pulled in and I didn't even know I was at the door, or she was at the door. Then I can get lost in there. And that's when she gets loudest, is on that second level, because it's everything else I've turned off out here, but now it's just me and her. And she thinks she has the microphone, she has the stage, and she's just going to go. At that stage, if we're not doing anything out here and now we're coming in here, we get to choose, if you so choose, to ignore her or him. Because the voices will keep happening. They always do. We can choose to listen or not. We can choose to get pulled in or not.
That's an important piece about ego. It's not ever gonna shut up. It's not ever gonna stop with the stories and the evidence and the reasons and the proof. That's not going to happen. Its whole purpose is to keep us the same. And so it will keep doing what the ego is trained to do. So the very first one is we want to fix it out here. When we don't do anything and we come, zip our lips, we don't do that. And the second thing is we try to suppress the feeling that's going on in here by using our ego. Well, it's a good thing I'm righteous, or else I'd tell you where to go and how to go there. But I'm such a good person. I'm not going to do that right now. Whew. Like when we solve it, we try to suppress this thing that's going on, this upset, this misunderstanding, by justifying in here, judging and creating a band-aid that for a minute stops this from boiling over, but it doesn't heal it. It just like tempers it for the moment, but the next time that button is pushed, it's right back there, and sometimes even bigger now. So we don't fix it, we don't suppress the feeling by listening to ego and having it justified. We go, thank you, ego, it makes sense that you're telling me this and this and this. I'm not going that route. And we go deeper to the third layer, which is into the actual wound of fear. So when Shelby went out to watch her 9-year-old in all this upset and fear, she observed the child just like we get to do with our inner child. And when we go to the third level of dropping into, whoa, Cammie, little Cammie, what are you afraid of right now? What's happening that's so scary that you can't breathe and you're panicking and you're trying to do all these things? Well, I'm right here. And I get to observe my inner child and all that's happening in that fear space. So Shelby demonstrated it perfectly on the outside. She watched her 9-year-old temper tantrum, throw, speak and yell and mom, it's not my. She didn't get involved in it. She didn't try to defend or say, no, you're okay. You're not in trouble. She didn't argue with Emmy in her fear. She offered her arms of love. And when it wasn't taken, she didn't get mad and feel rejected. She kept observing the child in her fear until the child came over and climbed into her arms. That's what we get to do with our inner child. And taking that breath and being with the little us who is like going crazy like her daughter was, the actual button or trigger is healed. It's alchemized. When we can sit and be in that space with our scared little one. And this is so much different than what we were taught to do as little kids in church, in the community, in the culture. Okay, so what Shelby did in that alchemy of that experience is she just chose to be the observer, watching the child and offering love. And it's a lot easier to watch someone else do it than to do it for yourself around your little child. Okay, so what we're going to do is play around with the fears that we all have, and some of them we're discovering that we never even knew were driving us, that were underneath the subconscious. When we start to watch, every explosion of misunderstanding has a base of fear. And most of us as human beings spend our life in two ways, either avoiding that fear or chasing the desires,
which is still avoiding a fear,
which they are the same thing. But we go, oh no, I just want to be successful and have a lot of money. Really? Because what are you afraid of if you don't have money? Oh shoot. Well, when I was little, we didn't have food, and that scares me. Like we get to start playing with, and Michael Singer, who wrote The Untethered Soul, he says, this is the spiritual path. When you start to do this kind of internal work, when you actually sit with the inner child, you who's afraid, and hold space for that alchemy to take place, this is what a spiritual journey and path look like.
This is, for me, it's simplified so many parts, because as an emotional human design, I had emotions galore. And so to pick out one, I'd pick it out, and then I'd try to figure out, why am I feeling jealous? And this is the question I would ask. Well, why am I feeling angry? Well, what happened? It was hard to navigate to where my mind would take me. And it felt very confusing and overwhelming. With this simplicity of just asking myself what I'm afraid of every time there's an explosion of emotion, it gets it down to where it started in the first place anyway. I don't need to figure out why I'm having that emotion. I already know now I'm afraid of something. And to be able to go to that, like go right to the source. What am I afraid of? With whatever trigger it is, I'm afraid of something. Whether it's anger, whether it's jealousy, whether it's insecurity, whether it's any of those lower vibrational energies, it is fear every time. Only 100% of the time. So to figure out what you are afraid of, then you can be with the little child that's afraid of that. And this is even going a level deeper, you guys. That this one kicked my arse too. Oh my gosh. When I figured this piece out, I would write down my fears. Well, I'm afraid of being overlooked. I'm afraid of being bullied. I'm afraid of not being good enough. Those were all, yes, fears. Here's the thing. When I went underneath of that, I was actually more afraid. This is my deepest fear of how I was going to treat myself when I believed the story I was telling myself. Bottom line, across the board again, I'm afraid of me. I am afraid of me every time. No matter what situation happened, I would make it mean something that hurt my heart, that hurt me, because I made up a story around it that had to do with me, and then I beat the crap out of myself. It was always me. I was always afraid of how I would interpret it, the story that I would create. It was me. So the other day I was feeling bullied. So I went into this trigger of feeling bullied, right? And it wasn't the bully that I was afraid of. I went back all the way back to when I was 5, and I actually did get bullied by a neighbor kid. I was being 5 years old, and I threw a glass bottle in the middle of the road, and it shattered. I didn't think about the consequences of a glass bottle being broken in the road like I would now. I was 5. He was 3 years older than me. He jumped on my back. He pushed me to the ground. He said, "You're going to clean all of this up, and I'm not getting your off your back until you do." So I picked up every piece of glass that was left on the road, cut my hands really bad. He finally got off me, and I walked home in tears. When I was feeling that bullied energy that day, I decided to go in to figure out what I was afraid of. The first fear was I was afraid of being bullied. And I thought it was I was afraid of being bullied by other people. When adult Shelby visualized standing next to 5-year-old Shelby, I realized 5-year-old Shelby was actually afraid of me.
Bullying her.
Because I've been bullying her for 40 plus years. So what I chose to do is let her know I'm right here, and I'm going to throw the bottles with you. And I handed my 5-year-old Shelby bottles to throw. And I said, "Here, throw this one. What does this one represent? Let's throw it." I grabbed bottles. I threw them with her, and I let her know I am right here, and I won't be that bully anymore. It no longer works for us here. That's how we can heal and alchemize this, is the now version of us gets to be with the fearful little child, because that trust relationship I broke at some point by the way I treated me.
Okay. Everybody take a deep breath in your nose. Exhale out your mouth. Relax everything. The key in moving from level 1 to level 2, from level 2 to level 3 is relax behind it. Relax behind what's going on. Relax behind you wanting to control. Relax behind your beautiful ego and all the stories it's telling. Relax, 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 and observe afraid little you. So let's do something. Let's share some pieces of ways for on level 1. What are some ways that you guys like and have noticed to control, manipulate, or change out here? What are some things that you guys do? What are some tendencies that are coming forward as to what you do on level 1 when you have a misunderstanding in here? What do you try to do out here?
This is called participation, y'all. Boop,
Yeah.
you just put the unmute button. Okay. So what do you mean again by a level 1 for anybody that?
So level 1 is when I have an explosion of misunderstanding that happens in my body. The very first thing we do as human beings is go outside of me to fix it, manipulate it, change it, control it. what are some ways that you guys try to shift that your outer world, when your inner world goes, how do you try to change out here?
So
What
Mackenzie says she's really good at fleeing, right? Which brings up the fight or flight response. Thank
Yep.
you, Mackenzie, for pointing that out. Very common. We pick one or the other, right?
Mhm.
I'd
And
like to flee more.
anything else you guys want to?
This is Leah. I'd like to flee more, but of course I go to a lot of standards of angry and blame. How this problem, whatever this is not my fault.
Beautiful.
For sure.
And so relatable. Yes, yes, yes. What else, you guys? What are some other things that come up? Just like popcorn.
So I
love
have Chelsea starts cleaning everything.
Okay.
Oh, relatable.
That's huge.
Oh, I do that
Kudos, good
too.
notice. What
I
else?
defend myself. I clean too. That's a good one. I defend myself. Try to
Okay,
do.
defensive. Oh gosh, right? We try. I didn't say it like that. I didn't mean it. You don't even understand how, right? Immediately. Beautiful notice. My defense has come up like that's not how I said that. I never would mean to, right? Let me tell you what
Really
my
happened.
story is. Yes. Beautiful notices, cleaning, frustration, control, fixing. Just noticing these things, because oftentimes these are defaults and we'll be in it before we even know it. And one time Shelby was talking to me like this, and I'm like, oh honey, I'm not willing to fight. She goes, I'm not fighting. And I said, sweetheart, look at your hands. And she goes, oh, we don't know until we start coaching ourselves to see these things. So this is really good red flags to go, oh my gosh, I am trying to control something out here. It's time to go in. Okay. Any other ideas that haven't been shared? The blaming, the defensive, the going into cleaning.
I've used food for a long time. The situations like that explode make me nervous.
Yep.
And yet I never even had that word. I actually was not jealous, but judgy. I was judgy for a long time of people that had anxiety. I was like, what the hell is your problem? Like, just do something about it.
Mhm.
And here, see the hypocrite in me. I didn't recognize that little jittery nerves that gets in your body wherever you feel it. I feel it in my stomach. I was calling that sensation hunger. So I would go eat. So I could justify the hunger because I'm just hungry. And I was in that pattern of always defaulting to hunger. But it was really the comfort foods were giving me those hits in the brain that could calm things down momentarily. And when I figured out that, because the unicorns taught me to observe my behaviors and to really lean into emotions and not just run, that was so shocking. It's like I have mistaken hunger and it was really nervousness. And not only now do I get to recognize I'm nervous, how can I address the real emotion? But I also can stop judging everybody with anxiety and be like, oh yeah, let me, is this a group therapy? Let me have a seat. Let me just sit down next to y'all because we're all the same. So cute little judger.
Good notice. For me, I finally found that I would go into learning. I would learn something new. I would go into my studies, into my books. I would pull up a podcast because it would momentarily take me like off of this focus and onto I'm going to learn something different, which is a great habit, but I was using it to run away from me. I was fleeing from my own fear into let's just go learn something. A lot of us jump into, I was taught also, let's go serve someone else. If you're upset here, just go take care of someone else. So I got busy taking care of other people's needs. The pleaser would come forward when I was in an upset. I'd be like, okay, find someone else that needs something and I can take care of them rather than, whoa, I'm in here hurting. What if I took care of me?
There's also one that I hadn't thought of before, but it's just coming in. And it's relatable to me. Like I'm realizing I had done it, and that's self-punishment. I would find some way to deprive myself, or I'm trying to look at specific situations, but the punishment part would help me feel like I could rectify the situation. If I punished myself, then I feel better about what happened. I feel better about, and that's how I would reach out here to feel better is punishing myself for what I did. Because when I was younger, that's how my mom taught me. If I punish you, then you'll learn better and you'll do better next time. And so whatever you did wrong is punishable.
Mm.
And so if I could rectify it, then I would think that I could feel better, because at least I'm trying to fix it that way.
I
Fix me,
penance.
punish me,
I
penance.
got punished, and so we can move on.
Yeah,
You guys, these are
that's
it's
new.
us being human beings. And I'm really appreciating all of your guys' willingness to take a look. We all have our different flavors of what it is that how we fix the environment out here in order to feel better in here. It's not a long-term fix, it's a band-aid, but it worked at least for a few minutes. And this, what we're talking about, instead of fixing, when we can notice that we're doing it, when I can notice that my defenses just came up and I'm all of a sudden like acting as if I'm being attacked, if I can take a deep breath and go, whoa, it's time for me to relax. I'm going to take myself on a walk. So these things, like this is just the beginning. Noticing what are my behaviors when I have an explosion of misunderstanding. What are my outer behaviors to try to fix? And stop. Do not do what you normally do. Do not go clean the house, go eat the food, go dive into Netflix, go jump into personal development, go into blaming and defensive. Just stop all of that and take a deep breath and relax. Now, your methods of relaxation are going to also be tailored to you. And there's a whole bunch of different ways that we can relax, and you get to start exploring and having fun with, okay, that didn't help me at all. I need a different technique. And sometimes you layer and layer and layer. And so we'll play around with different ways that we relax. Number one is to take a breath. Just slow down. You take a breath. So everybody take a breath right now. Inhale in your nose. Exhale out your mouth. And just gently notice how that feels in your body, okay? It is we've made it so complicated and so difficult to stop that flow. It's like a fire hose that you're trying to stop. And when we talk about it, we're like, oh, that'll be easy. I just won't say anything. Oh my goodness. It is a wrestle, and get prepared for the wrestle. It's so uncomfortable, and just be playful with it. This is something that will take our whole lives to master, but our willingness to play in this arena is like that. That means we're on this spiritual path to find what we truly desire above anything else, is that inner well-being, that peace, that undercurrent of gentleness in here. That's what we actually want more than anything. Okay, so if we stop at level 1, then it comes into, so now that fire hose that was going to come out this way, or all this energy that I was going to use to clean the whole house, because this is all upsetting me. Now all of it is pointed at your cute little personal brain ego. And now the ego starts going crazy. Because
Okay, I want to interrupt for a second.
Go ahead.
Shelby, remember her last words were, now the ego starts going crazy. So that's the cue, okay? There are 2 things I want to touch on, and I just would love to interact on, because they were profound, and it's so easy to just get lost as we're listening to things. But you talked about the paradigm of punishment.
Yeah.
That's the paradigm of punishment, and I put in the chat, but I would love to discuss with you and tie it into play. Our society all the different layers, macro, meso, micro. We have this paradigm of punishment that if you punish yourself, or if someone's punished long enough and hard enough, then then it'll somehow equal out. It's like a check and balance system. It'll equal out what you did. But the truth of the matter is you did what you did. Like whatever you did is done and it's in the past.
Yeah.
Punishment is just a way of continually hurting yourself or someone else, and it brings shame in. So we learn it because we get punished by teachers and parents and all kinds of things growing up. We get punished and like, you have to suffer. How often is the lesson really the lesson? Like, do we learn the principle, or do we just become really good punishers? So shame comes in and we start punishing ourselves, like Shelby's illustration. So I just really want to be clear, because if most of us are doing this, and I want to help you stop it, but you can't stop. You cannot change what you're not aware of. So ask the question, if you're taking notes or just thinking, where do I punish myself? This is something to ponder, something that as long as you'll say it in your own mind, just repeat it after me. Where am I punishing myself, or how do I punish myself? If you'll take a moment and state that, it'll keep working in your brain in the next few hours and days, and the ahas will pop. So every time we have questions, and I keep putting the questions that they're saying in the chat so that you'll stop, ask it to yourself. And it's like turning on a radar that now your mind's going to start looking for that. You just ask it now, and in the next few days, you're going to have epiphanies that come from this conversation. So where and how do I punish myself? But then the next thing I didn't want to skim past is play. Cammie's talking about playing with these moments. How can you grow, expand, and have personal development if you're constantly using this cattle prod? That comes to mind because I have a ranching father. If you've ever seen a cowboy try to move a herd of cattle, they push them with this hot, shocking stick, and they push them in the ass to get them to move forward. We treat ourselves like that when it comes to personal development, like the goals we set and the places we want to get better. We're like, we're going to be better. And we read that book or we take that course. And then when we don't master the skill, we're like, we punish. That never works. And until I met the unicorns and they convinced me to play, and it took years because I thought it was foolish and childish to be goofy and to play. Then we had this moment, you guys. So I just want to explain it, and then I want to hand it back to you, Cammie. But they were always playing at these retreats, like, let's play. And I'm like, damn it, I am here to learn. Like, stop playing around. I came to learn important things to make me a better person. That was my mindset. And I bet there are people like me in this room. Like, I don't have time for frivolousness. I need to learn important things because I got to be a better person. Stats, like at the hospital. That's for you, Anne, right? They say stat. Get on it, stat. For our nurse in the audience. So I was at a retreat with them, and I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to become a better wife, a better mom, a less depressed woman. And they're like, let's go jump on the trampoline. And I was seriously like, we're grown ass adult women. We don't jump on trampolines. I don't know how many of you have jumped on a trampoline in recent years, but I hadn't. I have 5 little boys, and a trampoline meant, oh, good, go babysit my boys while I sit down and breathe. I didn't get on a trampoline. And I really was so much in judgment. Why do they want us to go on a trampoline? This is so stupid. How long are they going to have us be on the trampoline? Yada, yada. And they move us out, and I'm watching these adult women get up, and nobody really took to it naturally. It was very challenging for all women. Even grandmas were there.
Yeah.
And they start bouncing and playing. And it's like, the first thing I noticed is, how did we all forget? How did we forget to jump on a trampoline? Like, our balance was off. People were all awkward. Like, wow, when did I forget to be like a child? Once we played a little bit and people got into their rhythms, and then of course they start playing the games and bouncing each other and moving around, that laughter came through, and the voice of women's laughter was like joy. Where and when was the last time I laughed like this, or I heard women just laugh? That is a healing antidote to the stress, the overwhelm, the busyness, the work, just the laughter it brought. So that was like, I was having an open mind, open hearted experience. And then we came back into the home, sat down, and they started to talk about principles of personal development and loving yourself. And I noticed that everything they said from that point forward bypassed my egoic brain and went right down into my heart and had an explosion. It was like it was breaking down the heart walls I had. It was making sense, not just to my head, but to my being. I was like, oh, that's how you love yourself. That's what self-worth is. And everyone in this room, I'm sure, has sought after self-love or self-worth at some point. And you've read books on it, and you've looked up the Wikipedia definition, and you've gone to classes. And it was through this stupid activity of jumping on the trampoline that got me into my child energy, where I was teachable, meek, humble, and concepts could come in and I actually could love myself. So that was a major breakthrough for me. So Cami, anything you guys, Cami, Shelby, want to add?
Angel, thank you for sharing that piece. There was a client that we saw today who was actually it was yesterday, I think. He talks about something that he did when he was a teenager, still learning, still innocent, still exploring all of, like, still even learning how to manipulate his body at a teenager level. And he had made some decisions that he saw impacted his family. And he's now in his 50s or 60s, still living as though he did it yesterday. And he is still feeling like he is worthy of punishment, that he is not worthy of love, that he still needs to pay for what he did back as a teenager. And it's now affecting his health in a lot of ways. But to witness this as it's happening in real life, he literally will probably never, unless he chooses out of it 100% commitment, he will never feel like he has paid the price. And that's the loop of punishment, is when will it ever be paid? When will we actually wake up one morning and say, okay, I've punished myself to the point where I feel like I've paid back society for my wrongs? I don't know that that would ever happen. The thing is the punishment concept comes only when we doubt our worth. We do not understand and remember that our worth is unchangeable, and that every moment is a learning experience. And when we can look at the moment that we feel like we deserve punishment for was a learning experience, and actually look for the gift, not more ways to punish us, that's when we let go of it. Because inside that moment was a gift for us. We didn't have the eyes to see it, and we don't as long as we believe we're deserving of punishment for it. When we can let go of that and ask, what's the gift in this? Receive the gift, let go of the punishment. That is healing. And as adults, I feel like that seriousness almost is a punishment. It almost feels like you have to behave or else, and I will just, I don't know exactly how it's applied, but it feels like a punishment to me to not allow expression, and not be playful, not laugh, not allow my silly impulses, like touching the floor at Perk's coffee because it looked really cool. It would feel like a punishment not to be able to do that. Yes, I did that, guys. I was at Perk's and they had a cool floor, so I dropped to my knees and I felt it. It was amazing.
Because playfulness is, like, there's so much healing. I love that you brought that out, Age.
Yeah.
Like the playfulness, if we could stop being so damn serious and realize, like, age doesn't matter, gender doesn't matter, money doesn't matter. We're all just little kids running around trying to have experiences and getting so serious about it.
I seriously just learned that seriousness is directly related to the tightness of our bum. It just came in.
There it is.
You can try it on for truth if you want to. It is directly related to the tightness of our bum. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh my gosh.
Totally
Okay.
drop in.
So just that invitation, as we're going into the deepest, darkest hole of our fear and actually healing, if you can bring playfulness with you, you're going to be trying some different things on, noticing, like, oh my goodness, I'm on step one, I'm trying to fix things. Just noticing and giggle about it. One of our clients today in the session, we raised our energy, and then he noticed one of the ego's statements and he started laughing. And he's like, oh my gosh, it sounds ridiculous right now, but 5 minutes ago it would have had me. But when we raise our energy and we can get playful with it, we go, oh, I saw you. I saw you. I see what you're trying to do. No,
I see what you're doing, Ethel.
I'm not.
Oh,
falling
Fred,
for
there
that.
you are again, Fred. I see you.
And this is this playfulness, like even putting a name to the ego and having a relationship of playful. No, 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 no. I used to let you take me, but I'm not today. You know, that healing space where we're just these little kids trying things on, and stop being so hard on ourselves and punishing ourselves for not getting it right the 70th time. Okay, so going back and thank you for those ads, everybody. Level 1, we try to fix it, we just stop. Level 2, this huge explosion is going to happen up here in the ego. It's going to try to suppress. Level 2, you ignore, you walk away from, you say thank you, but no thank you. I'm going in. And you go to level 3. Now, to go from level 1 to 2 and 2 to 3, it takes relaxation. Relaxation is the bridge to go from one level to the next. And in that relaxation, level 3 is right here in the heart chakra. It's that personal heart space where your inner child lives. And that wounded inner child, full of the explosive misunderstandings, when anybody pokes on that trigger and the explosion happens, then the inner child all of a sudden is driving the car. And that's where it gets crazy. So in this space, we're on purpose going to the child in the fear and being that gentleness, that compassionate, safe space for the child to be witnessed and observed. Okay, I want to stop at level 2. I want to ask you guys to share some of the things that at level 2, what are some of the judgments and ways that you try to suppress the explosion and justify yourself up here? What are some things that trap you? You got to unmute.
You can also raise your hand digitally when you click on reactions at the bottom. You can raise your hand and then we can call on you. So Cami, restate your question. What are you wanting to hear? From level 2, that's that step where we learn, where we're in that space of either ignoring the ego and walking away from that, or we get sucked into the ego, right? So
what are some things that the ego traps you with? What victim statements, what blaming? A lot of us go into the superiority.
I'm right.
I'm right. I know I'm right, and it doesn't matter. And we have this little diva attitude, or like
have the tantrum girl that didn't get what she wanted.
What do you guys notice? Yeah, the tantrum.
I didn't get what I wanted. Like kick and scream.
What is it you guys notice in this stage? Just as a heads up and a red flag.
I don't want them to not like me,
Mm-hmm.
or I don't want to hurt their feelings, you know, like if it's an interaction with another person, afraid that they, won't like me anymore.
Beautiful. And that will stop you from saying things or doing things out here, but then you'll solve it here. Like, oh, I'm not going to let you know that this is happening. That pleaser mentality, and I'm taking care of everybody else. That's huge, Kim. Very relatable. It's going to be like this forever is one of the lies that the ego brings in. Good.
Another one was, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
Yeah. And Kim reiterated that too. Like that's a big one for us. We really have this society built on I'm responsible for everybody else's feelings. And
McKenna's comes from a common core belief too. She says that people aren't understanding me or listening to me or love me. And I think the core limiting belief that many have is I don't belong. Many people struggle with the deep fear of I don't belong, like they've never felt like they belong. And so the thoughts are very common, the ones she states, to project that into the moment. Like other people don't ever understand me. People don't listen to me. I'm not loved. So thank you, McKenna, for that.
Oh, so true. Chelsea says, I don't want to admit that I'm wrong. That like the ego
Bingo.
would rather die than
Mhm.
be wrong. It just wants to be right no matter what that takes. And a lot of us will just prove ourselves right in here. And then we don't lose friends and everybody still likes us and everything, but we'll prove ourselves. I knew it. I'm right because, and we just have this whole conversation going on inside our heads to show that I'm right to me. So I can go, oh, phew, okay, yeah, I'm right. That's a big one. This is what leads us to war. Okay. Let's thank you for sharing these. This is just the beginning. We're just starting to ask these questions so you guys can start noticing the process of where it's at, the different things that grab you, and ego has you looking over here. You will get accustomed. You'll start seeing them working as we become aware of these things. Okay. All right. I want everybody to take another deep breath. What are, and you can just share with us verbally, you can share in the chat, what are some of your deeper fears that you have spent oodles of time avoiding?
Okay, ask yourself this in a question. I'm going to ask everybody, unless you're driving. If you're driving, don't do this, but close your eyes. Everybody's sitting here. And ask yourself the question just by thinking this thought. What am I afraid of? And it can help you get there if you take yourself to any recent situation where you've been irritated, frustrated, angry, pissed off, resentful. If you can link it to a moment where you were in the fight or flight stuff, look at the moment and say, in that moment, what was I afraid of? This will get you to draw out more specific answers.
Mm.
I am not enough.
Rejection, disappointment, not being believed or heard, left alone, second best, not enough, abandoned. Why life is so hard. It's interesting. Michael Singer reminds us, he says, if we really take a look at what's going on in that situation, 99% of the time, our fear isn't even happening, but we're experiencing it as if it is. We are pulling from historical memory records, everything from back then to right now, as if it's happening right now. Well, all the signs point to I'm going to be rejected. All the signs point to I'm gonna not be enough, but it's actually not happening in that moment. It's just an interesting realization that most of our fears are just created based on what we experienced from the past and what we're afraid of redoing or replaying in the future.
Yeah, as I'm looking at all of your fears and having lived these same fears, abandonment, rejection, I am confident in sharing this with everyone. The things that you're fearing that you fear that will happen from other people are what you are doing to yourselves in those moments. When you fear abandonment, that moment that you fear abandonment, you're abandoning yourself. When you fear rejection, you're rejecting yourself. When you fear that you're not good enough for someone else, you're afraid that you're not good enough for yourself. That's what you're telling yourself, or that you're not good enough for them. Look at all of those things you said and just ask yourself, how am I doing this to myself?
That's why our biggest fear, you guys, is ourselves. It's so fascinating that it comes back to me every time. What I really, when I see it happening out here, it's a mirror reflection to let me know what I get to work on here, what my little inner child is calling for. It does not want to be abandoned by me again. It does not want to be bullied by me again. It doesn't want to be accused of not being enough again by me. And it thinks that it's happening out here, but I'm the one doing it to me.
And it's making sense. This is coming full circle as to why we can actually heal the wound No matter if it's abandonment, rejection, failing, not enough, bullying, no matter what the fear is, it can be healed by us being with us in that fear and wrapping our arms of understanding around this misunderstood child who's so afraid to be abandoned. And we're like, guess what? I'm not abandoning you today.
I got
I'm
you.
here. I'm choosing to be here with you. We are our greatest fear, and we're also what we're seeking. We want to be loved so bad, and we think it's from out here, but it's not. This is an inside job. These fears that we've all made up by this human experience, they can be healed in the moment of us relaxing, and observing and being with that child who is scared. And we can put our arms around ourselves in that gentleness and be like, hey, I got you. It makes sense that you're afraid that I'm going to leave you, but I'm right here.
This is what we want most of all. So in our life adventures of trying to avoid what we fear and get what we desire, underneath all of that, this is the sweet spot. This is the secret to happiness, so to speak, is that we can, because we created the story, because we created the experience, and it is happening inside of us, it's the only thing that can happen is we change it. Nothing out here is going to change it. The work is always done here. So if I created the stories, I created the experiences, I created the beliefs, I created that I'm not good enough, that means I can change it. I'm the one who can change it. And I can stop trying to change everything out here, because I'll tell you what, it's going to piss everybody off. We don't want to be changed by anybody we love. We feel that. We know what that feels like. We're trying to do that same thing to the people around us. We're trying to change them so that we feel better. Do it this way. Say it this way. Breathe this way. Chew this way. Snore this way. Don't do that. Be that. Do this so that I can feel better. And we can just bring it right back to ourselves and know that it's all right here. The work is here to be done. Oh my
The
gosh.
whole universe is right here.
You are the center of the universe, you guys.
You guys, I wanted to share, there's two very simple pieces that this comes down to. So egoic consciousness holds two principles: lack and fear. And it gets to be hard, right? All of that. And then not enough. Any of those pieces, when we're in fear and this is hard, that's egoic consciousness. Heart consciousness, which is the spiritual path that we're wanting to choose more moments in the heart consciousness. There's a flow of ease and a flow of enough. So you can recognize really quickly which one you're in, moment by moment. When someone goes, oh, this is so hard, the only thing that's hard is that the ego is in charge. Because as soon as the ego's not in charge and our heart's in charge and we're here, we have a flow of ease. As soon as we go, I'm just not enough, I just can't do this, I don't think I'm worthy, those lies are coming from egoic consciousness. Our ego is just spitting that stuff out to us. And I flip to heart consciousness, which is, I am enough. And I have enough. And there's always enough. And just working through these fearful spaces that our inner child is just, they're not trying to punish us. They're looking for healing. Mange, I think
we're
we're right at time.
Okay, I'm busy in the chat giving people
and this is
questions.
Go,
So
baby, go.
beautiful, you guys. Every time you feel that trigger and you find out what you're afraid of, turn the question around like Angel's doing in the feed.
It's so powerful.
It is so incredibly powerful because the gift that people are offering you out here is that mirror. When I'm getting triggered by someone out here, they're just showing me the part of me that's asking for love and attention. It's a gift. We can start being grateful for the people who trigger us. Thank you for showing me that part of me. I have totally forgotten that I have a part of me that believes that. And now I can go be with that fearful little child and love on her. Thank you for triggering me. What kind of world would that be?
Oh, that's my world. That's my
Yeah.
world. When they taught me to say that, so it's first the inner work. What you do inside of you is the conversion that then allows you to be that healing gift to someone else.
Yeah.
So what that looked like, they taught me to love and lean into my own triggers so that when someone else triggered me, I really could say, oh, thank you. You just brought a spotlight and you're shining it on my wound. Thank you. I want that healed. I don't want to ignore it. The ego's like, no, don't go there. Let's hide. Don't look at that. Don't go there.
Quick hide.
And when someone triggers you, it's that spotlight. They're like, you have a wound. So you can say thank you. And only in that place was I able to then look at people who are reacting when I'm triggering them. Then instead of being like, oh, I'm sorry, and trying to rescue their emotions, I say this, you're welcome. You know, I go into the song and dance from Moana. You're welcome. You're welcome. And I'll often tell people, I hope that I trigger you because that is the portal and pathway to growth. If you're afraid of triggers, you're going to be stagnant your entire life. Busy, 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 and not growing emotionally with your intelligence at all. But if you're triggered, that is the pathway to progress. I love some of the ahas in the chat, and I would love to hear your voices. If you have said something here, aha, light bulb moment, would you unmute yourself and say a little more?
I set a light bulb. And I really do appreciate it because I've done a lot of work, and when I've journaled, I carry a journal with me whenever I get anxious or triggered in any way, I journal my emotions so I can do that exact thing. And but there's times where I can't pinpoint it. I can't get to the bottom of it. This feeling of unworthiness, I guess. Like I don't know where that comes from. I don't know what that is. And I'm like, if I can't get to the bottom of it, then but what you just said, I think really I'm gonna sit with that and I'm gonna journal on that, because I never, out of all the brainstorming and soul searching and digging I've done, not once have I thought my fear around that is myself. And when you said that, it's like, oh yeah, well, when I'm feeling unworthy because external sources aren't making me feel it, who's left to make me feel it? It's me. I'm left with myself. And that's scariest of all, because I'm feel like I'm a lot better at getting other people to give me validation than I am at getting myself.
Whoa.
So that was big, that I'm going to, yeah. So thank you very much for that.
Even as you were speaking, I was thinking, I wish I could illustrate it with some kind of graphic cartoon on the screen while you're talking. Picture each one of us like scurrying around a room trying to find the mess that needs to clean up. Like, what is causing me to feel unworthy? And like, you need to get out of my life because you make me feel unworthy. And I need to quit this job because it makes me da 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 da. And then all of a sudden we're like, oh, me. It's me. You like get right by the mirror, like right here. I'm right. You're cleaning, and then you look and you're like, oh, you're still here. That's why I can't get away from the I'm not worthy, because it's in my freaking head.
It's me. There's a joke that someone was like, I saged my house last night and I ended up
I woke up in my front yard.
in the front yard.
Yes.
And if it's always me, that means I am the answer. I am the answer, and I'm the one that can change it.
So true.
Which just makes it very, very simple.
Yes. Well, we
Thank
want to
you.
thank you for being here tonight. Does anyone else want to share one last one? I love the voices. I love to hear it coming from you. An aha for
I'll
tonight.
share.
Yeah.
I'll
Okay.
share something.
Yay.
I feel like I think I've grown up with a mother that has been so dang serious, right? My dad passed away at 39 and we had 9 children and I'm the oldest. So it was me and my mom raising kids. I never saw her play. I had to be doing homework because she was always feeding babies. Anyway, I think about my childhood and really had to grow up fast. And even now, I want to go play. And we did karaoke and I can really let go and just play. But when Doug just said, what if you imagined your work is play? And I love that. I'm a hairdresser. It should be fun. But damn, why can't we laugh then more? It's way too damn serious. Oh, so I want to figure out how to play more. And yeah, when I'm the one that says life is hard, well, it doesn't have to be. But that's been my life. It has been a very hard life. So I need some help in letting go of all of that.
Thank you for sharing that, sweetheart.
Thank you.
And that it's just a lie from the egoic consciousness that life has to be hard. And your mom didn't know any different. She didn't try to harm you. She just believed it.
And even now, she just brings up all of this stuff about the world. She doesn't have her children because she's gotten so deep into whatever's coming. And sometimes I think, Mom, can you just love me? Can you just hear and listen to me instead of no? When I talk to my mother, it's about all the stuff that's coming and this world. And oh, I don't care. I don't want to go there. I just want a mother. And it's been part of my mom. It just hasn't been on the couch to just love me. Can we just sit and visit? And oh, I'm glad somehow I've been able to change that with my girls and we can just sit and visit. They know I don't have anything to preach about, but somehow my mom gets her validation from you've got to be in the know and all this stuff. Oh,
You know what's funny is how much she lives in your head. I'm noticing she lives in your head. And I want to invite you to divorce yourself from your mom.
thank you.
Not being mean. I don't say be cruel, don't see or anything like that. Divorce yourself from the voice in your head because you're married to your mom's way of thinking.
I don't want to be my mother.
And when you let that go, you can still have a great relationship with her in life, but the way that it is eating at you, because when you talk, there's so much energy there and it's so much pressure. And guess what? You own your mind. Your effing mind about came out of my mouth,
you
but
don't.
you own your mind.
Yeah.
You own
We
your
just
mind.
talked on the phone, and the only thing she was excited about is we talked for 1 hour and 9 minutes, and I just go, "What the hell, mother? You just sat and preached at me." Anyway, I do. I want to learn how to just love. You're right, and just let go of. Well, I just
So
listen to her
picture,
because I feel like she has to tell me all this. But
I know, and you are fun loving. Everyone who doesn't know Vicky Lee, she's actually one of the most fun people I know. So it's funny to me that you're like, I don't know how to play or be silly. Hello, Miss Pickleball Champion. Hello, like karaoke. She picked up a saxophone
all right,
recently and started playing in a
I'm
band again. Like you are so fun. But I want to give you one visual and we're gonna wrap up
okay.
group and
Okay.
tell the unicorns will tell us what's coming next for them. I just thought because you are fun and funny, when your mom's voice or her way of being comes into your head, I want you to picture a cartoon revolving door. And it's like one of those beautiful hotels, you know, that has that revolving door, real fancy
Mm-hmm.
entrance. And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
here comes my mom's way of thinking and being. She's coming in the door, and just pat her on the back, and you just escort her right out that revolving door in your mind. In your mind. So when you're playful
Gotcha.
with the stuff that comes up, you're just like, ooh, it's coming in again. Like, I'm being serious. My mom taught me to be, I don't have to be that way. And just play your way out of it.
Thank you. I just want to play all the time.
And there's nothing wrong with creating a clear boundary with your mom, sweetheart. Like with my mom, when she would get on the phone and she'd do her thing, I said, Mom, I've got 10 minutes. Let's talk about something really deep today. Let's tell me about how your heart is singing, what song it's singing today. Tell me about what brought joy to you today. Like change the subject
Change.
if you want to, or let her know we're not talking about any of this today on our phone call, Mom. And if you want to, I'm going to hang up. You can go call someone else because I'm not here for it.
not even fun to talk. Yeah.
I want to talk about these things with you, Mom, and if you want to go there, it's okay. But I'm not the one for that.
Thank you.
It's okay to do that with your mama. Okay.
Thank you for giving me permission to do that.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you all for
Thank
being here, our beautiful soul family. It's so nice to have family soul evening together. And I want to ask the unicorns, what's coming up? What are you guys doing or in your life, and where can we find you? So tell us about your physical location first.
Okay. So we have a CBD health and wellness store in Hurricane, Utah. It's right there on State Street. It's 1141 West State Street, Suite 6B. The little complex where Wendy's is and the Verizon, we're right in there, Perks. We have a physical location there. We have a big back room that we have classes and activities and gatherings for. And then in the front, we have been on quite the healing journey and found some things that aren't always accessible to everybody everywhere that really help with the natural healing of the body and not just treating symptoms. So if you want to come in and say hi, we have a beautiful little meditation space in there. You can enjoy our back room for a little bit, sit and visit, try some of our products. We would love to see you. We actually have something coming up on November 5th.
We just want to invite all of our yinners to be able to come in person and have an evening and do it more on a regular basis, where we all just get together in the back and bring a healthy snack or treat, and let's just come and hang out, physically be in each other's presence. We've got comfy couches and little spaces.
We bring instruments.
Yeah, we can do
treats.
music. You can bring, let's just create the in-person, face-to-face, delicious hug space.
So we want to do it the first.
Did you say November 5th? Did you say
Yeah.
November 5th, a Sunday?
Yes. So it's in the evening. We
At
would
what-
start it at what is it, 5?
5 to 7.
5 to 7 on Sunday. The first Sunday of every month, we would like it to be dedicated to yin gatherings, so that we can have a face-to-face personal connection. Where this is amazing too, but to be able to be in each other's space and touch each other.
We
is
like
yummy.
to hug
So
around
we're
here.
we're a yes and.
Yes.
So there's no charge to be there. We're just opening up our space for everybody together. And we can create as we go as well.
Let's get together and play.
That day we also have a cacao ceremony. There is a charge for that because we have someone from Costa Rica coming in to bless the cacao for us from 2 to 5. So if you guys are interested in that, I suppose you can just reach out to me if Angel wants to leave my number.
Is your email return the number 2
Yes.
love unicorns?
Unicorn.
Unicorn, one unicorn. Return to love unicorn at Gmail.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I put it in the chat. If you want to know about their events or stop by their store or do sessions, different types of healing sessions with them, there's all kinds of things you can create. And the thing I love about them, they're so different than other providers. Other providers will tell you, like, here's our rates, here's our packages, here's my store hours. Like, they're so structured. And with these two, I can come to them and say, like, here's what I can offer. Here's what I have to pay, or here's whatever. And here's what I need. And their ability to create a healing thing that's custom to me has been unparalleled. And little by little, the parallel between my growth in healing, loving myself, my worth coming back, it also brought me abundance. So the first time I went to a retreat, I didn't have any money, and that was my story, and I was in financial scarcity, and they allowed me to come and serve. I helped cook the meals, and I helped in the retreat house, keeping it clean and just being their assistant. And the more I got help from them, the more money I was earning in my other life, and was like, now I have this much. Like, I just want to pay them. I want to pay it forward. I want to pay it back. So don't ever let those constructs that keep you from getting help stop you. If there's a way, if something inside of you says, I want to work with the unicorns, I want to feel this shift, I want personal, just put it out there. Tell them, email them, here's my situation. I want to grow. And this trade economy is coming to life in our world. It's what can you offer? These people have many ways that you could bless their life with your talents, your abilities, whatever you have. So please don't live in the scarcity mentality. If you feel called to work with them, please do.
Thank you.
What do you do at a cacao ceremony? Can you please explain that? So that part will be charged. There's a woman from Costa Rica who's going to administer it, and it's the price of the cacao. Tell them what that means.
So the cacao is a sacred chocolate. It has no additives, nothing added to it. So it's a very sacred plant. It also is a heart opener. And so when Suri is her name, she's our facilitator. When she comes in, she is magical with her words, you guys. She is magical with her voice and sounds and tones and music. She's going to incorporate all of this. And her intention is for us to open up our hearts and then turn to our neighbor and connect deeply in the way we do that. And the cacao is just going to be offering that energetic space with its delicious, pure energy. The cacao is the purest of the pure. And she brings her cacao from Costa Rica. So it is, she made us some the other day and we were in heaven for about 3 hours. It's very, very, very yummy. Yes. Very healing.
So you said that's from 2 to 5 on November 5th.
You
Yes.
got it, baby.
Cool. Great. I know where I'll be.
Yeah.
Yay. And then
Thank
just
you all so much.
are you